Today's discussion will be focused on the United States debt and how, for a long time, people have been saying we need to balance the budget, and that's the appropriate way and the most responsible way to govern our nation.
Chairman Greenspan, one of the things that we're talking about, and I spoke to Martin Feldstein about it today, is our expanding debt and our expanding deficit. It gives pause that we will go to $1 trillion in deficit here in the near future.
What is right now your main concern about this bill?
Well, my main concern is clearly that this is going to add hundreds of billions, in fact, $1 trillion or more, to the national debt over the next 10 years.
I believe that the president has abandoned his role as leader of this nation by not being honest with the American people about the significance of the national debt. And that's why somebody asked me if this budget was dead on arrival. And I said, no, it's not dead on arrival. It's debt on arrival.
Next week, the House of Representatives will vote on a plan to improve the lives of American families by balancing the budget in 10 years. How do we do it? Well, it's pretty simple. We stop spending money we don't have.
But there's a new way of thinking about budgets and economics, and it's been around for nearly 20 years. It's called modern monetary theory.
The only potential risk with the national debt increasing over time is inflation. And to the extent that you don't believe the U.S. has a long-term inflation problem, you shouldn't believe that the U.S. is facing a long-term debt problem. So MMT starts with a simple observation, and that is that the U.S. dollar is a simple public monopoly. In other words, the United States currency comes from the United States government. It can't come from anywhere else. So what that means is that the federal government is nothing like a household. In order for households or private businesses to be able to spend, they've got to come up with the money, right? And the federal government, it can never run out of money. It cannot face a solvency problem, bills coming due that it can't afford to pay. It never has to worry about finding the money in order to be able to spend.
Now, obviously, MMT has its detractors, like former Fed Chairman Alan Greenspan and former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers.
There is a theory out there, modern monetary theory, MMT. A lot of people are debating that suggests that a country that prints money in its own currency doesn't have to worry about deficits as long as inflation isn't breaking out. If it does, the fiscal agent comes in and raises taxes. What do you think of that idea? Because it's being bruited as a way to spend more money on infrastructure, on the Green New Deal, things like that.
You have to shut down your foreign exchange markets. And how do you exchange stuff? People will be trying to fly out of your currency
rapidly. But this idea of so-called modern monetary theory that the government can just print the money it needs to finance itself and therefore it never needs to worry about paying its bills, I don't think that's a realistic calculus.
But Stephanie Kelton points out that both Alan Greenspan and Larry Summers have made sort of pro-MMT arguments in the past.
Insecure in the sense that there's nothing to prevent the federal government from creating as much money as it wants and paying it to somebody.
The other thing to say is we have a currency we print ourselves, and that fundamentally changes the nature of the macroeconomic dynamics.
And MMT continues to gain traction along with discussions of income and wealth inequality.